All right, guys. So in this training, we're going to talk about the dehydration process as far as trying to make weight and how you can properly rehydrate yourself so that way you can go into your competition feeling fueled and ready to perform. So when it comes to dehydrating yourself, it's going to put your body in a very under recovered state. This is something that you have to acknowledge. If you need to lose weight for competition and you're going to be, following the plan that we discussed in the previous training where, 3 days out, you're going to start to remove a large portion of your calories, and as well as even looking at going periods of time without drinking any water and purposely dehydrating yourself, your body's recovery is going to be a lot slower. I actually want to share a story with you guys. As of recently, I put a lot of time and energy into my nutrition, into trying to eat more food and trying to gain weight in an effort to increase the amount of training that I can do to increase my overall performance in both the gym and weightlifting and as well as jiu-jitsu. And what I've come to find is my recovery is so much better now that I'm actually fueling myself with more calories. I'm able to perform and train more. So you have to acknowledge that on the other side of the spectrum, if you're, let's say you just dropped 6 pounds, understand that your body cannot do the training that it was doing. So that means that those 3 days out, you need to monitor the intensity of your training. And you should not be doing really anything too intense a couple days before your competition. I don't really think it's necessary. You can drill, you can flow, maybe a couple of intense rounds, but especially if you're going through a process where you're not drinking any water, you pretty much want to minimize all stress because you just want to focus on getting through that weight cut and just being able to rehydrate yourself fully and get carbs back into your body and get those glycogen stores back up in your phosphagen system. That's going to help you push yourself when you're 4 minutes in and there's a minute left and you're down 2 points and you got Nashigrami, you're ready to get a sweep or get a leg lock. You're tired, right? Just because you know a technique doesn't mean that you can't get tired and your body starts to kind of shut down. Your brain starts to shut down and you kind of just start running on autopilot versus being able to make very good intentional decisions. You start getting lazy. You think about tapping. These are the things that happen all the time to athletes that even work their ass off, but because they're going into this dehydrated, under-recovered state onto the mat, they're not able to perform their best, and they're not also relaxed because your body is going through stress. When you're trying to drop like 5 pounds in a couple of days, your body's like, whoa, what's going on here? There's stress, there's cortisol that starts to get released on a physiological level. And that's something that needs to be accounted for. Otherwise, you're going to wind up either injuring yourself or just beating yourself up at the end because you're like, man, I didn't perform that well. It's not even about winning or losing. You're just like, I felt like shit. So we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So when it comes to dehydrating yourself, you only want to do it if you really have to. When I was doing one tournament previously, I weighed in the morning of about 174. And in 5 hours, I had to get down to 170. And what I ended up doing was turning on the hottest water that I could in my shower, closed the bathroom door, no fan. I let the steam start to rise. And I just started doing jumping jacks, stretches. I just started to get a sweat going. I did that for about an hour, and then I dropped down to 173. It was about a 3-hour car ride to the competition, and on my way there, I was spitting into a water bottle the entire time. I didn't swallow any spit. When I got there, I went to the bathroom real quick. I just did a number one. Ended up weighing in at 170.4. There was a 1 pound allowance, and I weighed in at 170. The day of, I ended up losing 3.5 pounds. And that's really came in handy. So we used pretty much every single strategy that's intelligent at that point. What you want to do, if the morning of you need to lose weight, you're going to do that hot shower, stretch. To be honest with you, it actually felt really good. It was something that in the morning was helpful to loosen my body up and to kind of make my body feel really relaxed. So something along those lines where you're just doing light activity in a hot room will help you sweat that out. You also obviously want to cut out water. You pretty much are just not drinking. You're not consuming anything. And the idea is to keep your activity very, very low. You either want to be like laying down, just like on your phone bullshitting. If you need to lose more weight, then you go on a walk. And that's pretty much it. You have to probably just try to survive it. The most important thing is going to be then rehydrating yourself, right? So, and then just to clarify, if you really need to keep losing that weight, you can always spit into the water bottle as well. And that's pretty much it. I mean, depending on how much weight you gotta lose, it's just gonna take you doing that for a longer period of time than if you only had like a few pounds to lose. If you have a few pounds to lose, you can do something like what I did. You sweat for like a half hour, an hour, spit in a water bottle for a couple hours, and you're good. If you have a little bit more weight to lose, you do an MMA, you're gonna start to look at actually sweating out for longer periods of time, and that's when it starts to get kind of dangerous. That's when it starts to like, okay, you need to have a team with you, you need to have people with you to actually take care of you to make sure that it's going safe. You're losing 5 pounds or whatever, not too dangerous. Start getting up to 10, 15, you're going to start to suffer the consequences for going through that weight cut. Now, to rehydrate yourself, you're going to need a few things. It's not just water. You can't just drink water and properly hydrate yourself. You need 3 things. You need water, you need carbohydrates, and you need electrolytes, okay? So electrolytes is going to come from usually sodium. It's going to come from your potassium, your calcium. That's what you're going to need, and you can get that simply from drinking coconut water, a Gatorade, Powerade, or if you can, have water with pink Himalayan salt in it. Pink Himalayan salt is a mineral that has electrolytes in it as well as sodium, so you'll be able to rehydrate your body properly with that. You're gonna get the carbs actually from eating certain foods. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we wanna make sure that you're rehydrating yourself with carbs and you're recovering properly without overdoing it and messing up your stomach. So that's what we're gonna do in the next training. We're gonna talk specifically about what kind of food groups that you should go for, which things that you should focus on in order to eat the proper foods to rehydrate, but also not too much to overfill your stomach. I really like coconut water. Coconut water is a great source of getting hydrated and getting in those electrolytes. Gatorade's okay, but there's a lot of sugar, so that could whack out your insulin when you're in a sensitive position, and that can put you in a place where you start to have insulin crashes, and that can definitely lead to negatives on the performance aspect of things. So that's usually what I recommend to dehydrate yourself, doing the sweating, spitting in a water bottle. To rehydrate yourself, you're gonna have that, obviously a lot of water, like 2 liters of water, half a gallon of water, some pink Himalayan salt or some coconut water or Gatorade if you have to. Get those electrolytes back in, get that water in, and then we're gonna talk about food groups, carbohydrates, and getting that back in so that way your muscles can have its glycogen stores again, your phosphagen system goes back to normal, you're focused, you're ready to perform in a few hours.